The Williamsburg Bray School was a school set up here in Williamsburg specifically to educate free and enslaved Black children into the Anglican faith. The goal of the associates of the late Dr. Thomas Bray, who set up and sponsored the school, was to educate these children into the religious faith that was part of the Church of England, as well as to give them skills like reading and spelling that made them more useful to their enslavers and the lives and jobs they were expected to live here in Williamsburg.
The Williamsburg Bray School was a religious, I don't know if experiment is the right word, but it was a religious endeavor from the Church of England. So in the 18th century, the Church of England, also known as the Anglican Church, was the official established church for the colony of Virginia, since of course Virginia is a British colony. The Associates of Dr. Bray are one of the largest charitable organizations in the Church of England, named after their founder, Reverend Dr. Thomas Bray. And the Bray schools were ultimately one of several different attempts from the Bray Associates to, the word they use in the rules for the Bray School is inculcate. Another word would be indoctrinate. Those of African descent, and in some cases, although not in Virginia and other colonies, those of indigenous descent, to the beliefs of the Anglican Church.
The school operated in Williamsburg from 1760 to 1774. Of those 14 years that it operated, we have lists of students from 3 of those years. Each of those lists tell us there's about 30 students who attend the Bray School at one time. It's pretty much an equal mix between boys and girls, and the students' ages range between 3 and 10 years old.
We know 87 unique names from 3 different student lists, but those names don't often tell us who these children's parents were. So if you were to pair the written records, the student lists, with the baptismal records at the local Church of England church, Bruton Parish, or you pair them with archaeological discoveries or architectural preservation or genealogy or oral history, that gives us a much fuller picture of the lives of these children. Our desire and also our need to continue to understand the lives of these children is far from over. This is just the first step in the journey.
So the teacher, Anne Wager, was instructed to teach the students to read, to recognize their letters, to know their spelling of words, and their grammar, their stops and starts. She was also instructed to teach the girls especially sewing and embroidery skills that could be useful for them later in life. There is a possibility that Anne Wager was also teaching the students to write, but evidence that supports that isn't as clear as the evidence that they're being taught to read. They also would have been taught to read specifically from the Bible, the Book of Common Prayer, and other religious texts that the Anglican faith uses to transmit their ideas of faith.
The decision for which children would attend the school predominantly fell upon the enslavers. So of 30 students that attended the school consistently, on average, you have 30 students every year, about 90% of those students were enslaved. We know of actually many parents now for the students, but we don't know of them ever being consulted on whether they'd like their children to attend the school. The only difference, or distinction I should say, with Black parents as relates to the Bray School is with free Black parents, parents like the Ashbys and the Joneses, since they did actually have legal autonomy over their children. But I think we should make a distinction in this moment: who chooses to send a Bray School student and what the student gets out of the education. Those are 2 completely separate points, right? You can mandate what a child is taught, you can mandate which child goes, but enslavers, much as they try in some occasions, do not actually have autonomy over the inner workings and psyche and intellect of these children.
An enslaver might choose to send a child to the Bray School for multiple reasons. They may have believed that by giving them a religious education, they're saving this child's soul, bringing them into the Church of England, and showing them their place within that society. Enslavers might also have been motivated to send students to the school for them to acquire skills that would make them more useful as adults. Many of the students of the Bray School live in and around Williamsburg, and as enslaved people or free people would be doing work like domestic labor, working in trade, making things, building things, all skills that'll be complemented by knowing how to read and recognizing letters and numbers. The enslavers might have also been sending students to the Bray School, especially the younger students, for them to be taken care of while adults on the property do other work and labor. Most people have an experience of education, whether that's at home or a more formal school or a homeschool or even a religious school. Most of us can relate to being a student. Not to mention, these students were part of the community here in Williamsburg. Their stories give us a better idea of what people were doing at the time of the American Revolution, how they related to each other, and how they related to these ideas of freedom.
We have to do our best to try to understand what happened. And so by telling this story, we not only complicate our understanding of America's history, we complicate our understanding of ourselves and who we are as people and where some of our beliefs come from, as well as thinking about where we want to go.